Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Kimberly Tyson. I am an outreach and recruitment officer here at the Institute of International Education and the recruitment lead for the Fulbright Public Policy Fellowship. And today our primary focus is doing an application walkthrough. But before we get started, I just wanted to do a brief program review, just because we have applicants that are in different stages of their application. So a couple of things before we start with the presentation. You can use the chat box to type your questions in the chat, and this presentation will be recorded just in case you have to leave early. So we always start with our mission and history. Fulbright, it was established in 1946 by Congress and is a cultural exchange program that is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State and in partnership with over 160 countries worldwide. We provide opportunities for faculty and professionals from all backgrounds, opportunities to study, teach, and or research abroad. Our mission, which is something that you're going to hear pretty frequently, no matter what stage you're at, and Fulbright is to foster mutual understanding between nations, advance knowledge across communities, and improve lives around the world. So this is really the heart and focus of Fulbright. So getting into the Fulbright Public Policy Fellowship. So again, just a couple of reminders about the program. The program provides opportunities for U.S. early and mid-career professionals and practitioners to serve in placements in ministries around the world. Fellows are going to also serve as technical specialists in foreign government ministries or institutions 80% of the time. And then there's also the independent research project that is 20% of your time. You have the option of going on your fellowship between 4 to 9 months, and we have about approximately 10 awards per country. So some of the basic eligibility requirements for the program are that applicants must be U.S. citizens at the time of application. Some of our desired qualifications are going to be a graduate degree in a public policy related field, 3 to 5 years of public policy relevant experience, and language skills dependent on the country that you're applying to. So these are going to be very important, and we're going to walk through all of these components in the application. So as you can see here, there's the online application form. There are short essay questions, your CV or resume, letters of reference, which this year are going to be 2, a select bibliography, and your language proficiency report if required. And before we get into the walkthrough, I just wanted to give a reminder about the application timeline. So the application deadline is going to be next Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. Applicants must submit their applications by 11:59 p.m. and this is going to be Pacific time. Between November and December of this year, your applications are going to be read by a peer review committee. So this is going to be a panel that is comprised of public policy experts. In December 2021, recommended applicants are going to undergo their interview, which is going to be held virtually. In January of next year, recommended candidates are going to be reviewed by the Fulbright Foreign Scholarship Board for approval. February to March of next year, the scholar selections are going to be announced, and July of next year is when you're going to prepare for your pre-departure orientation. So at this time, I'm going to start the application walkthrough. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. And then we are going to get into the application. I'll also do a quick refresher on the website as well. Okay, so before we actually get into the application, I'd like to show you what you're going to see on your end. So when you are clicking on Apply Now, you will see this option. For those of you that have an application from last year or have already started an application, you can simply click Log In, use your username and password. But for those of you that have not yet started the application, you're going to create an account here. You'll simply start by registering with your email, name, birth date, etc. And so this is what it's going to look like once you are in the application portal. So I'm going to click on the application for this year. And your application is going to look like this. So this is the introductory page that outlines the deadlines and other pertinent information. As you can see, you'll see different deadlines for different Fulbright programs, but you're only looking at the U.S. Scholar Program, which again, the deadline is next Wednesday. So I'm going to save and continue. Now here are a couple of questions about program eligibility. So this question is going to ask you if you've undertaken a Fulbright Scholar Grant in the last 2 years, and this is only specific to the Fulbright Scholar Program, not the Fulbright Student Program, so I've selected no. Are you a U.S. citizen? We all should be selecting yes. Okay, and these are some of the residency questions. Have you resided or traveled abroad for 5 consecutive years? If you have, this would make you not eligible for the award, so I've selected no. Another very important section of the award, you must select Fulbright Public Policy Fellowship as the applications slightly differ. And so here you are acknowledging that you give consent to access your information. So I'm saving and hitting continue. Okay, so the program is automatically selected for you. I've selected Ukraine as my country of choice. As you can see, only country options for this fellowship will be selected or be options to select. Okay, there is only one award that you'll be able to select for the application. So I'm scrolling down, hitting save and continue. So here's going to be your basic information with your name, birth date, some other biographical information. So here's another tricky area. So citizenship information. So we've already selected United States. You'll have to select it here again in order for the application to completely open up. So I am, I believe it is at the top. Okay. So there should be a drop down for you to select United States, but we're just going to bypass that. We're going to select no, and these are some questions surrounding felony and misdemeanor information. So we're just going to select no. Okay, so we're just waiting for this to populate. Again, more information about your address, how to contact you, email. You will have to enter emergency contact information here. So we can just put anything for the purpose of this walkthrough. Okay, and then the next section will populate shortly. And then what you can do is scroll up and get a sense of what all of the sections are that are in the application. So let's say you get to the application and you find out there is a section that you missed. Instead of going through the application in its entirety, you can simply click the link. So here you are going to select your current academic or professional title. I'm just going to select administrator. You'll indicate your position start date. And again, giving specific information about where they're located, academic history, You're just going to fill in your institution here and the specific information. This is another important section. So we are asking you to enter 5 of your most significant professional accomplishments. And I'm often asked, well, what types of accomplishments should we list? So if you've participated in any other type of grant program, fellowship program, even if you've completed the student program, any type of volunteer experience, awards that were won, you'll want to include them here. But the most important thing is to make sure you are adding 5. And as you can see, there is a 150 character limit. And this is going to be the section where you indicate whether or not you have received a Fulbright Scholar Grant previously. Again, we are only concerned about Fulbright Scholars, not specialists or students. So you're going to enter that here. And this is just more eligibility information here. So I'm just going to scroll up and click on the different sections. Next is going to be the award details tab. So here you will have to indicate what your discipline is. And so we're just going to select public policy if there is a primary specialization. Now, sometimes you may not find your primary specialization here, but you have the text box here to make any notations if you don't see the specialization here. Okay, so none of your projects should involve activities where you will be required to have a license to practice, nor involving any type of clinical training. So this should be automatically populated. So the award activity for the fellowship is always going to be the professional project. Here you'll want to enter your proposed start date. So as you know, as a reminder, this fellowship is between 4 to 9 months. So anywhere in that time frame is going to be good. You'll add it here. And your proposed start date. So you can start anytime in early fall of next year through, I believe, January of 2023. Proposed host institution. Now, this section is only for individuals that have opted to affiliate with academic institutions for their independent research project. This is not a requirement at all. Typically, I find that applicants who have pre-existing relationships with academic institutions, they'll work with them for their research. And if you do find yourself into this category, you will want to enter your proposed host institution here. So you will need a project title and a brief abstract or summary of your proposed title. This is more information about ethical requirements that you can read through, but much of this isn't going to be applicable to this fellowship. Essays and uploads. And so in this section, you will answer your short essay questions. And this information is also available on the website, so I can show you where to obtain it ahead of time if you'd like to go ahead and craft the responses. And so there are several, as you can see here, and this is the box where you would respond. And so this is the section where you're going to answer questions about your independent research project. So just clearly defining what you're going to do, the research facilities that you plan to utilize in the host country. And this is another reason why some applicants opt to affiliate with academic institutions so that they will have access to their facilities. This is the section for your CV or resume. So there are some formatting guidelines that you must adhere to. As you can see, you have up to 5 pages. And from my experience, the system may allow you to upload more, but from our vantage, we're seeing that the pages were cut off. So just make sure you are only submitting up to the 5 pages. The letter of invitation, if you have opted to affiliate with an academic institution, it will be uploaded here. Okay, and here is a very important section, language skills. Now, the only awards that are going to require language skills are going to be Cote d'Ivoire and Peru. So what you'll do here, and you can see what the language requirements are here again. And so what you will want to do, or what's required of you, is to do a self-evaluation here. So I'm going to select French as my language. So assuming that I'm applying for Cote d'Ivoire, I've indicated French, my command of the language here. And then I will indicate if I've ever taken any type of language proficiency test. What is required for those two countries that I mentioned are official language evaluations, and I will show you how to register your evaluator and explain a little more later what that entails. So additional questions about the language, about any formal courses that were taken. And so this is another important section. So having command of the local language is a good tool to have so that you can communicate with individuals within the local community. And it's a part of being a cultural ambassador. And so we do encourage you to at least have basic command of the language. And so let's say you're going somewhere like Ukraine, where the language isn't required, you could mention here how you are taking language courses to prepare you to really immerse yourself in the community. So scrolling back, we have our recommendations and language evaluator section. So this is the section that everyone is going to have to add information to. So it gives you a little more information about what is required. So there are 2 recommendations that are required for this application. And an official language evaluation is going to be required for Peru and Cote d'Ivoire. And so what you will do here, you will first register your recommenders, so their name, position, organization or institution, if there is any personal message that you would like to send your recommender. And then if you scroll down, you'll see a section where you can either waive your right to access their recommendations or you don't waive your right, and then you will simply sign here. And so you're going to register the 2 recommenders, and for the evaluator, you would simply select foreign language evaluation. And what happens is as soon as you register these individuals, they'll receive a computer generated link immediately so that they can upload your letters to the portal. So applicants are not able to submit on their behalf. The next section is going to be additional information. So this more than likely would not be applicable to any individuals applying for this fellowship. Next is going to be the signature page. So you're certifying that all of the information is correct to the best of your knowledge. And then the review and submit section. So this page is going to show you any outstanding sections of the application that need your attention. So as you can see, because we didn't go through it in its entirety, filling out the information, there are a lot of sections that are highlighted. So you would simply click on the section and it will take you back so that you can complete any missing information. So what will happen after you submit, you will get confirmation of your submission, and I recommend everyone in the section here, click here to preview application proof. I recommend saving that on your desktop, maybe on your computer, just to have it just in case, and then you will simply submit your application. And so that is the application in its entirety, but I do want to toggle over to the public policy fellowship page. So a couple of sections I want to highlight again for those that are somewhat new to the application and still have questions about the program itself. So here you can see the participating countries for this year, and you can see the fields and the potential host ministries and areas of interest. So I do want to point out really quickly, Burma. The program is currently closed. However, we are accepting applications for the current competition, which is 2022, 2023. But we do want you to keep in mind that unless the in-country situation improves, that the program may remain closed. But again, same thing for Burma. You can see fields, potential host ministries, language, so on and so forth for the other countries. We also have some additional webinars, if you've not seen them yet, just about program specifics. Scrolling back up, we've talked about eligibility. This is another way to get to the application. You can simply click on application and it will take you there. The next tab is going to be the review criteria. So I encourage everyone to take a look here to see what the selection panels are looking for when they're evaluating your application. We've also talked through the timeline. I just want to remind everyone the application deadline is next Wednesday. And highlights. So if you've not already seen this section, this is a good section to review because you can see fellows from 2019, 2020. So you can see their home institution, their host country, and their host ministries, as well as their project titles. So you can scroll down and see a couple of them. And we have our FAQ section. So this is a great place to find some of our commonly asked questions. And something else I would like to show you. We have our Fulbright Scholar Directory, and public policy fellows are included in the directory. So you can simply click at the top where you see Find Fulbright Alumni. What you can do is filter it out specifically for the country that you're interested in. Let's say you're interested in Peru. You would like to see all of the fellows that have affiliated with ministries in Peru. You can simply filter it out to see such information. And that concludes our walkthrough for the application. I wanted to allocate a nice amount of time to answer any questions that you may have. So bear with me. I'm going to get to the question section right now. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So there is a difference between the Fulbright Public Policy Fellowship and the student program. So the fellowship is open to individuals that have their master's degree in a public policy related field and the 3 to 5 years of experience. So if you don't fall into that category, you would definitely want to look at the student side of the program to see what opportunities you qualify for, but they are two completely separate programs. Okay, so scrolling down. Okay, so we have a question about project title and abstract. Let's see. How should project title and abstract under award details section differ from a research project and research project essay? This one I'm going to have to come back to. I'll see if we can pull up the application again and walk through that. Okay, so language proficiency, another great question. You are not required to have an official evaluation if the language spoken is your native language. For example, with Peru, if you are a native Spanish speaker, you would only do the self-evaluation. You would not have to register a language evaluator, and that goes for Peru and Cote d'Ivoire. So the official evaluation is not needed. Okay. So we have another question. Can applicants view copies of recommendation letters submitted by recommenders on their behalf? So if you opt in, when we were on that page, you have the option of opting in or opting out. If you opt in, yes, you may see copies of the letters of recommendation. Oftentimes, recommenders will sometimes send them directly to you before submitting, but if that is not the case, yes, if you opt in, you can see those letters. So we have some questions about eligibility. And so the 3 to 5 years of experience and the master's degree in a public policy related field, those are just the minimums that we expect of applicants. So for example, if you have a PhD or additional experience, you are more than welcome to apply. With the application deadline being a week away, well, less than a week away, it may be a little difficult to try to figure everything out, but I do encourage you, and I'm going to actually type this in the chat, and this is available in the presentation. The email address for the Fulbright Public Policy. So if you find yourself not sure if you qualify, please send me your CV, your resume to this email address, and I can do a quick evaluation to help you determine if you qualify for the program. And if you don't qualify for the program, we still have a number of opportunities that are available on the student side or even the core portion of the Fulbright Scholar Program. So I'm going to toggle over to the Q&A section. Okay. So we have questions about where or how to access someone if you have a question. So the best way to reach out is going to be the fppf@cies.org. Because this is the weekend before the application deadline, staff are going to be in the inboxes a little later than usual. So if you have any questions, you can always tune in there. I have been offering a weekly office hour every week. Leading up to the competition. So if you have any last minute questions, I will be offering a session on Wednesday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so I would recommend everyone that has any lingering questions to join me there. I can answer any basic questions. Depending on time, I can get a little more specific if you have some individualized questions about your application. But that is going to be the best way to get in contact with us with any questions. So I'm going to toggle back to the Q&A. Okay, so I believe those are all of the questions. So at this time, I'm going to toggle back to the application. Okay, let's see. Bear with me for just a few minutes so that we can take a look at some additional sections. So let's see. Okay, so we're back to the application. I'm just going to take us to the welcome page, and I'm going to get back to the question we have. So let's see. Okay, so we had a question about project title and abstract. So let's go to award details. Okay, so let's scroll down. Okay, so these two sections are going to be different. So the project title and abstract and the research project essay. So what you're proposing to do, you do want to give a title for it. And I showed you an example here. Let's see, just going to go back a little. An example here of what some of the titles were for projects. So I would say come to this page. This is going to be the highlights page on the website to get a little inspiration to help you figure out what the title should be. And this is just going to be a brief abstract or summary of what you're proposing to do, which essentially is going to be a lot of the information that you're mentioning in your short essay questions. So I'm just going to go back to the essay side of things. So you will find yourself reiterating some of that information, but not much of it. But these are two separate sections that need to be completed. And while I'm here, if anyone else has any application related questions, I'll leave the page open for a few minutes so that I can answer those questions. So I'm just going to toggle between screens so I can read your questions. Okay. Those are all of the questions in chat. I just wanted to show you a couple of additional resources. I just received a question. I just need a few minutes to read. Okay. So if for some reason you applied last year, but you're unable to see any components of your application, you should be able to log in and see them. If you're not able to, if you can email us at fppf@iie.org, that way we can help you get access to those materials. So what I'm going to do now is take you back to the website. I'm going to actually go to the main page at this time. So oftentimes I'm asked, what should be in letters of recommendation? What should I relay to my recommender in terms of what needs to be in my letter? And we have some guidance here. So what I did, I went back to our main page of CIES.org. I'm going to select Fulbright Scholar Awards, and under application, you'll see the different components of mostly the core the core Fulbright program. But this is still going to be applicable to those applying to the fellowship. So you can click on letters of recommendation. And if you scroll down, you'll see instructions. So I highly recommend you send these instructions as a PDF to your recommenders so that they're well aware what needs to be addressed in the letter. Additionally, I would send them a link to the Fulbright Public Policy website so that they can speak specifically to the country that you're applying to. So if you're applying to Ukraine, you want them to specifically mention Ukraine and why you would be an ideal fellow for the fellowship. So again, you can access these instructions by going to the main page and clicking on the different components of the application under application. Okay, so going back to some of your questions. Okay, so there are questions about where to email your individual questions. And Scholars, we do answer questions in Scholars, but the most appropriate box to go to for faster responses is going to be the program box. And so that's going to be fppf@iie.org. Okay, so just scrolling down. So we have questions about due dates for the application components. And so I do want to make it clear the application deadline is still going to be next Wednesday, September 15th. We have extended the deadline for letters of invitation only. So the other components are still going to be due on 9/15. So letters of invitation, as I said earlier, are coming directly from host institutions. So they are sending it directly to you. And then ideally you would upload it to your application. So if you are planning to have a letter of invitation, you do have until October 1st to secure that. What will happen is you will submit your application as scheduled on or before September 15th. And if you receive the letter afterwards, you can email it to the email address I put in the chat. So fppf@iie.org, and then a member of our team will make sure we get it uploaded to your application and send you confirmation. So just double checking that I've answered everyone's questions. So again, if you have questions about your specific eligibility and your experience, please send your CV or resume to the FPPF email address so I can do a quick assessment to see if this is the best program for you. In terms of I guess extensions for other letters, there aren't going to be any extensions for the application or any of the other components. So as I said, every other component, so your application, which includes your short essay questions, letters of recommendation, all of those other pieces are going to be due as scheduled, but the letter of invitation is going to be extended. But if you have any specific questions, you can always email us at that email address. So just looking at the private chat now. Okay, so just a reminder, in order for your recommenders to submit your letter, they're not going to send it directly to us. I'll toggle back to the application so that you can see. So you're going to click on the recommenders and language evaluator section. So this is going to be the only way that we can accept letters of recommendation or even your language evaluation. So you want to make sure you're adding your recommender here. So let's say for some reason one of your recommenders is unavailable and something happened, you'll need to re-add a new recommender and you can come do it here. So I'll just walk you through what that's going to look like. So you'll add their information here. And we will, let's see, we will make sure we save it. Let's make sure we fill out this information. Okay, have to do the waiver. So in this case, I'm not going to waive. Let's try saving it now. So what will happen is the recommender's information will populate here. And so what we can do, since this is my email address, I'm going to go ahead and opt to have it sent. So we're going to send to recommender. And once you do that, it will be automatically sent to your recommender and you can see a record of when it was sent. And so again, using that same scenario, let's say your recommender is unable to get it to you in time, or it's just unavailable, you can come here. You can, or another scenario is, let's say you put in the wrong email address or incorrect information, you can always come here to edit, but you can also come here to exclude. So I'm going to exclude this recommender. You'll still see them listed here, but they are indeed excluded. And then you'll want to go back here and add your new recommender. So this, again, this is the only way that we can accept letters of recommendation as well as your language evaluation. Okay. Well, this appears to be all of your questions. I wanted to do one last call to see if anyone else had any questions pertaining to the application or to the program itself. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and toggle back to the PowerPoint. So just allowing a few more minutes for some questions. But while I do that, again, you can email us here at fppf@iie.org. For the office hour on Wednesday, the easiest way to get to it, in the award, you will see a link for join an office hour, and that will take you directly there. It's via Zoom, so you would simply sign up with your name, email address, and then you'll get a reminder. So again, it is in Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be 10 to 11 a.m. And unfortunately, office hours are not recorded. And this is going to be the last possible session before the deadline. So I encourage everyone, even if you're not asking questions, just to get a sense of what some of the other questions are from applicants, you may want to join. So I see one more question came in. Okay, so there is a link and I'm going to stop sharing to take you back there again. So to access the application. Okay, so what we can do, there are a number of ways to access the application. What I will do is take you to the program page for public policy. So if you click on application, it will say to begin the process, go to the application, and then it will automatically take you to this page right here that I mentioned. So you'll have to register yourself. If you already have a login, you will simply log in. You'll see your application right here in this section, and then you can start. If you're just registering for the first time, you're going to select Start New Application, Fulbright Program, and then you'll go on from there. And that is how you will access the application. And so you can obviously log in multiple times. You'll just use your username and password. If for some reason you lose your password, you can always select retrieve my password so that you can access your application again. But I believe those are all of your questions. I do see some specific questions about whether or not you qualify based on your credentials. And again, please send me an email and we can get that determined. But otherwise, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for joining me today. And I wish everyone the best of luck for the competition. Take care, everyone.